Right, you're both disloyal. Get out. Okay. At the this is what I mean. You dab my thoughts out of my brain. At the Crane Hotel Elysium, then we will find Dr. Ezekiel Knowles making his way, trying to find someone who is being, sort of fawned over and watched constantly as the newest member to join the Vampire Court, and that is, of course, Sabina. Gerjo has asked you to summon her to his presence in a very decidedly archaic manner by sending someone else to do it for him.
So Dr. Knowles will kind of walk over once he sees her. I'd imagine it's not hard to find Sabina in the crowd. He's holding his jacket in his hand, or just like over his arm still, as he approaches. Hello again.
How are you doing?
Oh yes, I'm quite well. I've been asked by the master to escort you to him.
Oh,
I'm not
well,
sure quite what he wants to speak to you about, but well, I don't tend to ask him too many questions.
well, I'd say lead the way, but one question first. Does he prefer, outsiders like me, I guess, to call him the master, or...
I think Gerjo is fine.
Okay. That's on you if he tells me off for that. Lead the way.
He will just take her to the blue settees.
Yeah, Gerjo's sitting on one of them at the moment, and he's staring out of the window with that same expressionless look on his face. That he turns around quite rapidly. You're not completely alone in this room. There's a few other kindred on the periphery, but none of them are really close to you. There's enough room on the couch as well as the armchair and the couch next to it for you to sit down if you so choose. But he looks up at you first, Sabina, and stares directly at you for this long.
Good evening, Gerjo.
There's still traces of yourself left. Make sure that you eject everything. My child had some issues with that. I'm sure he'll be able to advise you well.
Okay. I'll bear that in mind. Does it last many nights?
No. But anything that you don't figure out tonight may come back to haunt you. Okay, give me just 1 second. Can you just pause it for a moment? Gerjo, after delivering that haunting line, leans back in the chair and observes, unblinking.
Well, thank you for taking the time out of your evening to speak to me. Apart from warning me about how that salad might haunt me, what else did you want to say?
You have been doing some work with individuals in the north of the city. Who?
Various folk? Anybody you
Folk.
want me to...
Who says
Various
folk
people.
anymore?
A teenage girl who watches too many dramas, apparently. Okay. Lots of people. Is there anyone in particular that you had in mind?
Librarians.
Librarians. Not at the top of my head, but I'm sure that...
Or anyone with an interest in esoteric literature.
May I know why?
It came to my attention you recently came into possession of certain treatises books, the meaning of which you might not be aware of. Do you still have them?
Me, personally, I have 6.
Do you recall, if you can read them? I'm not sure what language they're written in. Their
Ooh,
titles, their topics.
give me a second, and Sabina will say the languages. But
Finny gets her phone out.
Yeah,
looks
I
at her
don't know if
notes.
you know it out of character, but if she would know in character,
oh,
then
she does. I
yeah.
have it written down
That's
somewhere.
all
There
right.
you
Yeah.
go.
Sorry for putting you on the spot there.
It's fine. One of them's in Greek, one's in Latin, 2 are in Hebrew, and 2 appear to be a code that haven't quite cracked just yet.
And where did you obtain them?
They were a gift
From folk.
from Maria.
Ah, the late Maria.
Quite.
What a pointless tragedy. Strange that she should have an interest in that sort of thing. Or isn't it?
Not at all. She was brilliant. United all kinds of people, had a group of people who would have been struggling and made them survivors. She actually had gone to translating quite a few. A slow process, not her expertise, but
That is a work that I'm very interested in expediting. Will you arrange for the transfer of these books and any others, should you be able to come across them, to Dr. Knowles?
and would we also get the translations?
They might be completely useless. I don't even know their contents.
Right. But still, it would be interesting to know what's in them.
It would, to
Whether
the
it
Ordo
be
Dracul. And to me. You, currently, are neither. This can change, of course, when we've seen what you're made of.
so you want me to give you these books in exchange for not even the chance of having a translation?
Exchange. Was that the tone which you feel as though I adopted at all during this conversation?
No, but it's a tone I'd prefer.
He looks at Dr. Knowles and then back at Sabina. What you prefer is of very little consequence. Can Dr. Knowles be rest assured that you will deliver the goods at an expedient time, or not?
Would you like this to be an ongoing working relationship or a one-time affair?
That very much sounds like something you might prefer.
Why not?
If you have a keen interest in this sort of thing, that's easily cultivated, given the right tuition. But that's not my place. That is Anya's and Sho Miramoto's.
There are other things about the order that I might be interested in
Very well,
exchange.
then I would refer you to an esteemed recruiter, Dr. Knowles' sire, Ernest Lynch. Or Dr. Knowles himself is coming along rapidly in his own pursuits. He's even developing some of his own work, hitherto unseen. A real pioneer.
Oh yes, he is. He's brilliant. He actually said that he might be willing to do a favor or two in exchange for a book, which is actually his idea. I was going to give him one for free, but he said that now I'm officially part of the city.
There's more red
We do
tape.
things. Mm-hmm.
That being said, if you are curious about the order,
I'm curious about many things, from ghosts to certain, I don't know what word you'd use, undertakings, operations, rituals. I don't know, sorry. um,
the word
but
is the
I've
unknown.
had.
I remember, to an extent, the uncertainty I felt when I was your age. That is not a weakness. That is a protean malleability that you must take full advantage of. And I won't be one to deny that to you. If you have an inquisitive mind, Mary Lou Melanie seems to have an inquisitive mind. I wonder if the new Sabina will share it. Dr. Knowles, you will oversee the transferal and answer any questions that Sabina has regarding the order and any inquiries she has into the book's whereabouts afterwards. Once we've determined what they contain, we may be more forthcoming with their contents.
Of course.
Good evening, Sabina.
Good evening, Gerjo. Would we perhaps have another chance to speak another night?
I'm a very busy man. He stands up at that point, drawing his lanky frame up,
Much too busy to be translating old books that might hold nothing more than a diary or an old fairy tale.
which is exactly why I won't be touching them. I know better than to mess around with things I don't understand. And I know better than not to treasure something which I do not know is valuable. Good evening. And then he leaves the room at that point, quite curtly, quite abruptly, and without so much more of a word of goodbye.
Sabina just looks to Dr. Knowles in a "you're not getting them for free" is basically her look, but she's
You should be careful about how you interact with him. Uh,
that he
you
can
can
get in your head.
not that he can get in your head, just the influence that he has over the city.
I'm
He
more
has
than happy
requested.
to cooperate. That I've heard the request. I don't have to accept it.
You don't.
What would you do in my shoes?
Give the books. Why would you need them? Are they any interest to you? As apart from as a bargaining chip?
Bargaining chips are a very useful thing to have, and translations may be going slow, but they're going.
I am fairly new to this Requiem, but you have to understand that knowledge is contained in certain aspects of the Covenant, and I've heard of certain consequences before. I worry if the Master has a interest in them, of what he might do.
And you remember the previous talk we had about certain skill that was taught in the order, a certain procedure that I was interested in learning more of.
I cannot teach you anything.
I'm not asking
If
to
that
be
is,
taught how to do it. I want to know more of it.
I can only
And,
say that it is possible.
and I'd like to know more of it from Gerjo. So make him aware, and we can have another talk, and then he can get some books. Even if it's not
I
doing the
think
procedure,
he's
just
made
learning more of it.
would learning more of it. What else is there to know other than
If there's any side effects,
well, it differs, doesn't it, on patient to patient.
I don't know this. I'd like to know of the recorded side effects.
We have to be careful what we share with outsiders.
Have my word that it will be kept secret. I won't tell us all.
I'm
And
afraid
then I'd
that
be happy to give him his books.
to the powers at be, it is forbidden. I'm not trying to make this hard for you, please understand. And I would like to help, but there are rules that we have to follow.
Okay? There are rules. And his rules, right?
The rules of the covenant.
This isn't for nothing. I'm more than happy to work. But it goes both ways. Especially after everything that went down in the water banks.
What do you mean after everything that you've done in the water banks?
After everything that went down in the water banks.
I've not been made aware other than that Gerjo, as what I think you were the first to inform me that Gerjo was even speaking with the king.
No more. Ernest already told me what really happened.
Ernest does not tell me everything, I assure you. I was fairly surprised to hear.
Still. Since you were kind enough to summon me to Gergel, please let Gergel be aware I'm more than happy to have a further discussion on some procedures, and I'll bring 2 of the books with me. Just for that discussion.
I'll see. But I think he's made it clear that he's left this to myself and Ernest to deal with.
Do you want the books, or do you want a pile of ashes where the books should be?
We've already spoken to you that we would be willing to help you. I just can't share knowledge about things.
Which is why I'm asking for Gergel to share. But still, this is getting dull. I know that
is.
you're just following orders.
I am.
No harm in using some initiative, you know.
Well,
I'm going to go and mingle with others.
have a nice evening.
And do let me know if he wants another talk.
I will.
And Sabina walks away.